Hello and welcome to Skills to Pay the Bills. I'm your host, Tia Young, and we are honored to have the iBoss Inc. team on the set today as we present our two-part series on small business readiness and equity acquisition. My co-host and returning guest is business strategist Lorette Farris, the co-founder and chief executive officer of iBoss Inc. We also have iBoss Inc. co-founder and Chief Information Officer Corey Wilburn, along with Bob Rippian, CEO and Director of Acquisitions of Silverado Investment Group, Inc., and also Fernando Suarez, CEO of Fernando Suarez Income Tax. Welcome, Lorette, Corey, Bob, and Fernando to Skills to Pay the Bills. How are you doing?
Thank you. Welcome.
Well, happy to be here.
And I really extend a personal thanks to all of you, and especially to you, Fernando, because you're coming all the way from Pennsylvania.
Well, it's a pleasure and an honor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we're going to get started. Lorette, you were on the show some months back, and so would you tell our business, our viewers about iBoss and what you do?
Absolutely. iBoss is a company that is positioned to assist businesses, especially small, young startup businesses, in raising capital in the new capital markets. Mm-hmm. So we help companies figure out what they're trying to do, how they're trying to do it, and walk them through actually executing their opportunity to bring capital to their business enterprise.
Okay, good. And Corey, besides being a young co-founder and CIO and keeping Lorette in line, what are your areas of concentration?
Well, the great thing about iBoss is that me and Lorette are a mother-son combination team, and we complement each other perfectly. Lorette is a definite big thinker and a great strategist, and I handle all of the supporting technologies behind Lorette in order for her to be able to continue to do what she does for our clients and small businesses.
Okay, all right. And I have one other question that I want to bring up. What do you do for companies that are not computer literate?
And computer literacy is funny. It should actually be called computer habit more than computer literacy, because as you come on board as our client or as I'm giving the advice and the training necessary, I try to teach you those habits of what you should be doing. And the more often you do it, the more you create it as the habit, the more used to it you get, and that literacy just disappears.
It just disappears.
Just disappears.
Wonderful. Bob?
Hi.
Hi. You are CEO and Director of Acquisitions for Silverado Investment Group, LLC.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about Silverado and how you met Lorette.
I started, my interest in real estate started back in 2005. I started training all over the U.S. with different mentors in the real estate industry. And I knew that that was going to be my passion. I currently also have a remodeling construction business that I've been doing for 34 years.
Wow.
And I knew that I needed some kind of a backup retirement plan, which I currently don't have. And so as I was doing the training, I started investing actually in vacation rental properties down in Tennessee. And of course the economy started to do a downturn, and those investments didn't work out very well. So I took some training from a local mentor on commercial multi-unit, multi-family income producing properties, and that kind of hooked me in right away. So I knew that at that point I started to put my team together, and I knew I had to have someone that would help me with the financing of the properties. And I was invited a few months ago to Congressional Country Club by another colleague of mine, and she works for New York Life Insurance Company, and they were putting on a big event there. So I went there, and that's where I met Lorette. And after talking to Lorette, I said, that's my match right there.
Oh,
and
wow. That's
so I made, after it was over, the next day or two, I made instant contact with Lorette, and we started building our relationship.
That's great. That's fantastic. Yeah. Now, Mr. Fernando, all the way from Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Tell us about what you do.
I'm an accountant. I employ 25 other people, and we manage 500 businesses, small businesses in the Delaware Valley.
2,500?
No, 25 employees.
Okay.
500 small
That's
businesses.
still a lot.
Yes. It's a lot of businesses. And as an accountant, most people don't know what the word means.
Right.
And we basically form and get licenses for people, for businesses. Then we do their bookkeeping systems, then we do the true accounting, the payroll, and then the preparation of their taxes.
So you're working with a lot of startups.
Yes, for 27 years I've just listened to over and over to thousands of times of how people go through the trials and tribulations of startups. It's amazing the patterns that you see.
Right. How did you meet Lorette? How long have you known her?
It was through the Kingdom Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, okay.
Eventually, people introduced me to certain people, and then eventually met Lorette through one of the Kingdom Chamber of Commerce. And immediately, what Lorette brings to the table is comfort. And I felt very comfortable, and actually we prayed at the end of the meeting because it was so comfortable, and we were blessed to know her.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes.
It's really nice to have him say that. I want to go back to our CIO over there. I have a couple of questions for him.
I'm ready.
Now, I retired for the second time about a year ago.
Okay.
And one of the things I absolutely hated was the video conferencing. I hated it because it never worked, and we were just so frustrated. And so can you tell us a little bit about what the deal is on this online video conferencing? I know Lorette does it, hers works. So I'm wondering, is it because of you, or is it the system that she's using?
It's a lot of vetting, and it is a lot of research into whom it is that you're going to use. So yes, we have been through quite a number of different types of video conferencing technology, and the one that we settled on now is reliable, it's strong, it's dedicated, it's smooth, it's easy to use. So that just makes it more of a benefit for both us and then the clients that we meet with and the clients that we promote the software to.
Is that how you do most of your business? And does that save time on driving and people getting from here to there?
Absolutely, absolutely. While it's great that everybody's here now, especially even Fernando from Pennsylvania, absolutely anything that we can do in order to save a trip, travel, and to have that confidence behind it as well, to know that we will be able to meet comfortably, expediently, just makes it a phenomenal tool.
Yeah, and if I can add to that,
just jump in anytime.
Almost all of my I would probably tell you 75% of my meetings are done via video conference.
Wow.
And the clients wind up being very comfortable with it. Generally, I don't do it unless we've met once or so, because someone does want to get the feel that they know you, but after that, I have people saying, well, can we just do video conference? So the program we use, which I think is fine to say, is called Zoom.
Right.
And it allows us to tape the meetings. Even when we do our meetup groups, we have people coming in via video conference. We've had them come in as far as, I think we had Michigan and we had Oklahoma.
Right.
So we're enjoying utilizing technology to move our company and our business.
Okay, good. Now I've sat in on a couple of your meetings, your live meetings, and I've heard Corey talk about database development and management.
Yes.
Could you speak a little bit more about what that actually means for a small business?
It's still, the traditional ways of doing business and marketing still exist, face-to-face business cards, marketing, advertisements, but how you organize all of that data that comes in, even from your social medias and such, is essential to make sure that you're doing things efficiently, that you're marketing, that you're pushing out your information to those that are actually going to benefit from your services. So the contact management tools that you have in-house will help to make sure that you're driving your business more efficiently. And that database management is something that I do assist in both handling or showing you best practices in order to make sure that things are running smooth and streamlined.
Okay. Well, do people have to spend a lot of money to put in a system like that, or?
We have systems that we recommend, that we have good relationships with, that we vetted ourselves, and then even if it's a product that you want to use yourself, I can go in and assist you with the due diligence of at least the basic knowledge and operations of how it works, so that way you're not wasting your time trying to learn all of those ins and outs. And that's something else that I do. And not only do I support Lorette, but any of our clients that come on board, I support them in those endeavors as well, to make sure that they're not spinning their wheels.
And that is the wonderful thing about applications today, because most of them are very cost effective. You're using SaaS programs, and they're generally online. You have a minimal monthly fee. You know, you're talking your $25, $39 a month, as opposed to having to put out those big expenses that you used to have to pay for full programs.
Right.
Over time, you wind up spending just as much, if not more, but cost effectiveness on a day-to-day operating basis, especially for small startup businesses, it winds up being great.
And of course, any products that we try to find, we make sure that they're mobile, that you can take them anywhere with you or be anywhere. So long as you have internet access, you can continue to do your business, even from the beach.
Okay. Now, Bob, you've heard what they have just said about data management. Do you did you have that before you started working with Lorette, and do you have it now?
No, I did not. I have it now, though.
You do have it now?
Yes, because I instantly saw the benefit that came from it. I'm not tech savvy. You know, all these years, I go out and swing a hammer.
Yes.
And if a computer gives me problems, I go out the truck and get my hammer because I feel like just tearing it apart. But no, I've come a long way. I try to learn as much about it as I can, because I know it's a crucial part of what I'm doing now. And Corey has been great at helping me get through some of the lumps.
Right, good. So your student is paying attention. Okay, all right. We're going to take a short station break, but we'll be right back with Lorette, Corey, Bob, and Fernando. So don't touch that dial.
They say it takes a village. We focus on the truth about things that are happening in the DMV through the voices of the people who live, work, and play on Main Street. Tune in every week to discover how the community is coming together for the greater good of every resident.
Welcome back to Skills to Pay the Bills. We are now going to continue our discussion, and I'm going to start with Fernando. Everybody sitting here in a chair is a small business, owner.
Yes.
I want Fernando to tell us what you think are the three main challenges that are facing small businesses, and then I want the rest of us to jump into that conversation.
I think that's a very easy question. I've been asked that many times before. And the number one thing, if I were to do everything over again, was get a mentor from the very beginning. Get 1, 2, 3, as many mentors as possible. It's like reading a book. Instead of spending 30 years on learning a whole business, go to the book, and there'll be a person who's dedicated his 30 years. He put it down for 1 hour to read. And we're not accustomed to getting mentors. We don't know how to ask, but getting the mentors, this is a mentor right there that gives me the confidence, and just one conversation for 5 minutes can alleviate 2 or 3 years of pain. Having the right accountant, the right attorney, the right doctor, just having people that have done it before you and spent 10,000 hours doing it is the number one thing. Second is education, financial literacy. We, as small businesses, it's amazing that we go into business to make money, and the first thing that we delegate is the financial part of it. So having that financial literacy is what we do. We put up a wall and say, okay, I have this accountant. We really don't even talk to the accountant. Or I know that this exists, but let me sell this gum, and let me build this here. Let me do that, and we don't get the financial education that we need. And I think that's number 2. Number 3 is getting capital, getting financing, getting the access to money, because we know what we're doing, and we just want more people to know about it, and we want to access and do it more often and more often. And if we had more money, we can do it faster and bigger and better.
Right. You know, the piece that you brought up about people, I've met so many small businesses, and they feel like they can go to Staples and pick up a Quicken or a QuickBook. They've never done any form of accounting before, as opposed to going to a professional to help them get set up the right way in the beginning. Do you agree with that or disagree?
Most definitely, but it's not only just the software, it's not only just a person. Most people just go to their friend and their neighbor, or my brother knows someone,
Right.
And it's that initial work that has to be done. You go to a doctor before you're about to get sick, or find out about symptoms. You don't go after you're on a deathbed, or you go and ask first. You don't go and mess up and then go try to fix it.
Right.
And most people don't get that professional help. They don't actually know that they're spending an extra $10 or $20 or $50. They're going to get thousands of dollars worth in rewards, right. And that's a very hard barrier to overcome, and it comes through education.
Right. Yeah. Does anyone else want to add anything to that?
Agree 100% with Fernando about getting mentors. If you're just starting a business, you need to associate with people who have been in that business, and then get together with that person and try to learn as much as you can. I spent a lot of money over a lot of years taking training from different real estate gurus that everybody calls them, all over the country, and I learned a lot of information. But it comes time that you have to put that information forward, and the biggest hurdle that I've always ran into was the financing part.
Yes.
And that's where I met Lorette, and that's what she's helping me with right now. Right. So.
Yeah.
And I think along with the mentors, teams, the team that you build is definitely going to be very important as for your success levels.
So in addition to having that mentor and accountant, I mean, there are other people that need to be involved
in your team.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, Lorette.
Yeah, the point that I would make, and because of what I do, one of the biggest comments that I would make to businesses is, you understand what it takes to get a loan. You know the criteria, you know the credit score. Most do not take it a step further to learn what you need to get equity capital, and that loans isn't the only way to finance a business. And so when we reference education, to me that does become one of the biggest pieces, because if you understand what's available, what's out there, what you can do, what you can't do, that takes you so many steps further once you start putting together that team. Because now you guys have a real mission to go after, as opposed to a lot of your startups and your smaller businesses today almost feel like they just can't do it because they couldn't get a loan.
Right.
Well, that's not the only way to go. There are other mechanisms.
That's really good to know. That feeds into my next question. It was just about the banks. I have talked to so many small businesses, and they can't get a break. I mean, they're being told that if their scores are not over 800, if they don't have the capacity, if the capacity is not deep enough or wide enough, and if they don't have the capital, it's nothing that they can do for them. And I'm thinking, well, if they got 900 scores and they've got great capacity, and capital, why do you need the bank? But I don't know. I mean, that's just me talking. What are you guys? You guys are the experts. What do you say about that?
Well, I do know that you have to prove to the bank you don't need the money to get the money.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
And there's a lot of creative financing that could be out there. It's asking the right questions, and that's one of the things that Lorette brings to the table. That there's so many angles that she has that it's like an arsenal of different ways of getting money to the table.
Okay, Bob, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think the traditional way of getting financing is kind of out the door now. My whole training over the years, a couple of my mentors just taught how to raise private money. But they get you to a level where you can't go any farther because you need the right people in place to make that happen.
Right.
And there's so many rules that you have that the average individual don't know about, the SEC regulations and all that.
Right, that's true.
That's Lorette's expertise, and that's it just blew me away, her knowledge of that, and she's making that happen for me now. So that's
good.
that's
Can you
key.
say that again? She's doing what? She's doing what?
She's helping me with
She's
that
helping
now.
you with that
Yeah.
now. That's great. That's really good. Now, we've thrown the term equity capital. We haven't mentioned really angel investor. Or maybe somebody did earlier. Lorette,
I'll
can
mention
you,
it. Angel investors.
Okay, all right, it's mentioned now. Can you go a little bit deeper into the difference, or is there a difference between equity capital and an angel investment?
So, equity capital is type of financing versus angel investors are individuals that provide the equity capital.
Okay.
In that space where I kind of think your question is leading, that is what I'm referencing when I say it's not only loans. Equity capital could be a loan, but the difference is it's coming from private side as opposed to coming from financial institutions. And so what happens, there's also different levels, and angel investors happen to be those investors that get interested in companies early on. Angel investors enjoy investing in startup companies. They
How much money are we talking about for angel investment?
generally you're looking in the, say, sophisticated angel investors. They like, there's a litmus test, if we want to call it, that they'll work on trying to invest in at least 10 projects per year. And that's because they also understand some are going to make it and some won't. And so when you think about that, if they're investing anywhere from, say, $20,000 to $100,000 per company that they're investing in.
Okay.
That's the investment dollars that they're putting out on an annual basis.
So even 20, I didn't think they would go as low as 20.
Angel investors will.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And what they understand and like to see is that there are others investing in the same. Sometimes an investor doesn't want to put money into a project if they don't believe someone else is doing it. But then you have others who like being the one to help that company to come out of the box, and so they will be that initial investor. Generally, your angel investors, you'll hear oftentimes the friend and family round.
Oh.
Well, the friend and family round is that initial round. However, most young, small startup companies are not surrounded by friends and family that have money to invest. But if they have a good enough project and they can show how that project can make an investor money, that's what the angel investors are looking for. They're looking for those diamonds in the rough.
Right.
And that's the business that they're in, so they're willing to put it, in. Companies just have to learn how to look presentable to those investors.
Okay, all right. Bob, have you had experience with an angel investor in your 30-some years?
No.
You have not?
No. So this is
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, not yet. Okay,
That's right. Not yet.
Fernando, what about your clients?
I'm in the same position. I'm
Yes,
ready
sir.
to ask, but haven't done it yet.
You haven't done it yet?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Lorette, is there, well, we have a couple of minutes, so maybe you can give a real quick 1 minute. Preparation. Is this something you can just throw together real quick?
There is not. Think about this. You're asking someone for money, and you're asking an experienced investor to invest in your business. They're experienced. They know what to look for. Investors are looking for good deal flow. Well, guess what? If you're trying to get their money, there's 50 other trying to get their money. Well, that investor is going to weed through, and they're going to find the diamonds in the rough. So if you're just trying to throw something out there, you're putting something together quickly, that doesn't fly. You have to put quality information. You got to do your research. You have to format it. You have to understand what type of investor is going to be interested in what you're doing. So there's work to be done.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm pretty pleased. We had about 19 questions, and we got through all of them but 4. I did have another one, but this is part 1, and I'm going to start out the top of the next show with a question to Fernando. But for now, Lorette, Corey, Bob, and Fernando, our time is up, and we want to thank you for this awesome interview. Last week, I twisted Lorette's arm, and she has agreed to serve as an interim co-host for our fall and winter season. We are elated to have her join us with the great content that we know she is going to bring. If you have any questions or comments about today's show, please email me at the address scrolling. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.